Today, we are going to be making chocolate Swiss meringue buttercream frosting. So let me quickly take you through all the ingredients. So we've got some cocoa powder here. This is just regular cocoa powder. I don't really think it matters what kind of cocoa powder you use. We're going to be separating the egg whites from the yolks. We've got some very soft butter. Now, it needs to be soft enough, and I know you guys are going to get grossed out by this, that when you put your finger in it, it kind of does that. So soft, not melted, guys, okay? Very, very important. We got some sugar here as well. This is caster sugar. I know some of you in America don't have caster sugar. It's a little bit finer than regular sugar. It's not super important. You can use regular sugar, but I'm just used to using caster sugar. All right, first thing we're going to do, we're going to separate the yolks from the whites. Guys, when you're doing this, it's super important that no yolks go in the egg whites. Otherwise, these aren't going to froth up properly. One way to avoid ruining all your egg whites is to actually crack the eggs into a cup and then put it into the rest of the bowl. It's a bit of a process, but I'm a little bit of a rebel, so I'm taking a risk here today. So we're going to crack these egg whites. Now, there's lots of different ways to do this. This is not the easiest way, but I'm just going to show you how I do it. So we just use the two halves of the shells to kind of swap the egg yolk. Now guys, I know a lot of you are going to be asking me questions, what do you do with the egg yolks, Nick? In this case, sadly, the egg yolks are going in the bin. But you can make some delicious custard with this. You can do lots and lots of different things with this. We've got a little bit of an egg shell in here in our egg whites. I was watching this TV show once and the guy was saying that eggshells are attracted to eggshells, and me and my mum laughed, but it's actually true. If you have an eggshell in your egg whites, you can get it out with the eggshell. I've got some boiling water here for the next step. We're gonna pop our egg whites on here, and this is actually gonna help cook our meringue. So guys, make sure that the water in the pot is not touching the bottom of your bowl, otherwise it will actually cook the eggs, and you don't want scrambled eggs. You just want to kind of very gently cook them. And this is called the double boiler method. You're gonna pour your sugar into your egg whites. Use a whisk to just quickly whisk that up and mix it all together. And guys, we're gonna probably whisk this continuously for 3 or 4 minutes, and it's gonna very gently cook the egg whites, like I said. And then we're gonna whip it up in our stand mixer. So after about 3 or 4 minutes, it's gonna look like it's gotten a little bit frothier, but the best way to figure out if they've actually dissolved is to get a little bit messy, pop your fingers in there and just check, see if you can't feel any sugar grains, then it's done. Egg whites done. We are going to be using Peggy today. For those of you who don't know Peggy is, she is my wonderful assistant in the kitchen. You guys actually named Peggy. So if you've been around for a while, you know Peggy. If you haven't, I'm introducing Peggy. We're going to pop our egg whites in here and use the whisk attachment. But if you don't have your own Peggy, you can use a hand mixer. It's going to take a little bit of muscle power, but you know, that's life sometimes. This is going to be mixing for about 8 to 10 minutes, and the best way to know that it's actually done, well, it has to look thick and glossy. That's how a meringue should look. But if you can turn the bowl upside down and nothing comes spilling out and making a horrible mess, then you know it's done. Meringue is done. We're going to pop our butter in. So again, guys, make sure it's super soft. We're going to pop in a little bit at a time. Usually you're supposed to do about a tablespoon at a time. If you're making it for the first time, do a tablespoon at a time. Otherwise, I'm just going to do half the butter at a time. But it's fine. It just makes a little bit more of a mess this way, but it's okay. I'm not afraid of a mess. So the funny thing about this frosting is that when you start mixing the butter in, it's going to look like it's splitting at first. Don't panic. I did panic when I first made this, but it all comes together in the end. So we're going to add a little bit at a time, mix it for a couple minutes, then add the rest of the butter. It's all going to come together at the end. Trust me, it's going to be delicious. Even though this is a chocolate Swiss meringue buttercream frosting, if you want to just keep it vanilla, you can just pop some vanilla in here and leave the cocoa out. So our buttercream has mixed really, really beautifully. It is nice and glossy and creamy. Don't be tempted to eat the whole thing yet because we're gonna pop our cocoa powder in. So you wanna sift that in there just to make sure you maintain that nice, beautiful smoothness. Guys, while you're making this frosting, make sure with everything that you make on my channel or any other recipe, always scrape down the bowl, especially with a stand mixer, because Peggy doesn't quite get to the bottom of the bowl. So you wanna make sure that you scrape down, that way everything mixes in beautifully. This Swiss meringue buttercream frosting is just delicious, guys. This recipe here is a lot less sweet than American buttercream frosting. It's fluffier, it's creamier, it's much, much smoother because we've melted the sugar granules. So there's no grains in this frosting, but this frosting is perfect for cakes because it's beautifully silky smooth and it tastes delicious. It's basically like eating cream. Okay guys, that was my Swiss meringue chocolate buttercream frosting. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I have made a video for this before, but I wanted to revisit because you guys have asked tons of questions about this. So I hope I answered your questions. If I haven't, leave them in the comments down below. And what do you want to see me make next? Do you want to see any other kinds of frosting? Leave a comment down below for that as well. Now, if you want to grab the recipe for this, it's going to be on my website, thescranline.com. Link for that is on the box below. If you enjoyed watching this video, hit the like button, make sure you subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next episode of The Scran Line.